Hello again, everyone. So right now we're going to go through example 3. So we just finished example 2. So now let's jump to page 7. The top of page 7, we have example 3. So this is another system of inequalities, this time with 3 inequalities. And we're going to graph them all on this coordinate plane and look at that intersection. All right, so let's start off with our first inequality. I'm going to do this guy in blue. First inequality in blue. So we have x is less than 5. Well, this, I'm just going to make a note to myself. When I have x in a number, that is going to be a vertical line. And we're going to remember that this is a boundary. So for this line, we're thinking about this as a boundary. And also when we have y in a number, this is going to be a horizontal line. And we're thinking about this as our boundary. And this is just going to help me for when I'm actually graphing these. So let's go ahead and graph this guy. X is less than 5. X is less than 5. Well, that's a vertical line at x equals 5. So I go on my x-axis, I find x equals 5. It's right there. We want a vertical line, so a line going up and down. But we have no equal to part, so this has to be a dashed line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of put dashes right next to the line on the graph because it would be very hard to see otherwise. And it's okay to do that because, if I was grading this, I would say, okay, they definitely know what they're doing because they're putting it right next to it. And this is just to make sure that we understand that it's a dashed line. So it's a little bit hard to see, but that's where our line is right there. So that's our first inequality. For our second, we have y is less than or equal to positive 2. So we go to our y-axis, we find positive 2. It's right here. And this time we're a horizontal line, so left to right line. And this time we're a solid line because we do have the equal to part. This guy's a little bit easier. I'm going to turn this sideways so I can just draw them. And then again, I'm going to be drawing a line that's just above and below the line. Good. So those two were easy, and I wanted to take care of them rather quickly. But before we go on to the third one, the colors. We're going to change this one to 3. So we're going to make this number 2. Oh boy, we're going to make this red because I already changed it. Now we got to make this third one black. Okay. So what we need to do before we go on to the third one is we need to actually decide where we would shade. We need to put in our arrow markings. So we're going to test 0, 0 for our first inequality. So we don't have a y to plug in. That's okay. We're going to have 0 for x is less than 5. That's a true statement. So that means that for my blue inequality, we want to be shading 0, 0. So I'm going to have my little arrows going off in this direction, saying that we would be shading over here. For my second inequality, we're going to test 0, 0. And when I do that, I'm going to get 0 is less than or equal to 2. Well, 0 is definitely less than or equal to 2, so this again is a true statement. So this means that 0, 0 should be shaded from our red side, so we're going to be shading downwards from my red line. Just put those little arrows in so we don't forget that. And now we need to deal with our third inequality. Our third inequality is a little bit more difficult because it's not solved for y. So we have to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to rewrite it over here. So 2x plus 3y is greater than negative 3. So we need to solve for y. So let's start by moving the 2x to the other side. So we'll subtract 2x on both sides. When we subtract 2x on both sides, these cancel. We're going to get 3y is greater than negative 2x minus 3. Then we need to divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. Y is greater than negative 2 over 3. X, 3 over 3 is 1, so minus 1. And it's important to recognize here, we're dividing by a positive number here, so we don't have to flip the inequality. So make sure you're not flipping the inequality there. So let's start by graphing this. We have a y-intercept at negative 1, so there's my y-intercept. And we have a slope of negative 2 over 3. We're going to go down to right 3, down to right 3. Same thing the opposite direction. Up to left 3, up to left 3. Good. We don't have the equal to part, so this is going to be a dashed line. Let's try and make this dash line going through all of our points. All right, there's our dash line. We have our blue, we have our red, and we have our dashed black line. Last but not least, we actually need to test 0, 0. So if I test 0, 0 for my third inequality here, we're going to get 0 is greater than, well, negative 2/3 times 0 minus 1. Well, negative 2/3 times 0 is just 0. So 0 is greater than negative 1. This is absolutely a true statement. 0 is always going to be greater than a negative number. So we want to be shading the side with 0, 0. So that means we're going to be shading above kind of this side, above right. So I'm going to put my little arrows so I know which way I'm going. Cool. Well, we've taken care of all the graphing. Now we kind of have to just decide what our final answer is. So to decide what our final answer is, we need to kind of look at the different regions. So if I'm looking at blue, let's do the process of elimination. Let's look at blue. So we're looking at blue, we're from our blue line, we're everything to the left. So that means we're not going to be to the right over here, or in this little region down here. So these regions are no good. Let's look at our black line here. So our black dash line. So we're going to be at this line, we're everything this side. So those regions that I can see now, I'm not going to have an option for. So this region over here, we're no good. This one we already said was no good. And now we know that this region is no good. So we've looked at blue, we've looked at black. Let's look at our red one here. So red is here going downwards. So everything above it is no good. Well, over here we said already, over here we said already. So this big region at the top, no good also. Well, what's left? Well, we've kind of taken care of everything along the edge. The only thing left is this inside, this kind of triangle that's formed by all three of these. Let's make sure this works for all of them. So blue definitely is going to go through this triangle. Red also going to shade the triangle. Black also going to shade the triangle. So we know that this triangle is going to be my shared region for all of these guys. So I'm going to do my best to shade nicely going through all of my lines here. Hey, that turned out all right. All right, so we can see that our shaded region is just the triangle that's kind of formed there. And this is kind of the cool thing in math. So you can actually make some pretty cool pictures depending on your equations for inequalities. And maybe we'll do something with that later. But this is the idea. We can make kind of shapes using inequalities. All right, that's it for this section, guys. See you in the next video.